Hey everybody, what is going on? Brendan Miller here, back with another video. Welcome back to another episode of Bargain Bin Fishing Lures, the show where I go out and buy cheap, discounted, bargain lures and then take them out and see if they are any good. Now usually, when I want to find a bargain bin, I go to a sporting goods store, but today, I have delved into the depths of the internet to find my bargain baits. And the website I went to is Tackle Warehouse. Tackle Warehouse is one of my favorite places to buy tackle, and it just so happens they have a bargain page, which I was totally down for. So I scrolled around on there, spent some money, and now we have a box full of bargain fishing lures. Let's jump in and see what I got. All right. Let's get into what I bought. Alright, so the first bait I bought out of this bargain bin is the 6-inch scissor comb by Jackal right here. This is a very odd looking soft plastic, and this bait ran me $4.20 discounted price. Let's pop it open and see what these baits look like. The reason I bought them is because they look extremely weird, and as you can see, that's a weird looking lure right there. I've never seen anything quite like this. It's got a centipede like presence to it. This is really, really odd. It's got two main appendages down here, then it's got these weird legs that come out the side all the way up. I'm gonna be honest, this bait seems pretty weird and I don't really see myself using it a whole lot. I don't fish a whole lot of big creature baits. So that is the first bait right there. Really weird bait, very interesting looking. Hopefully we can take it out, give it a shot, see if it works or not. The second bait I picked out is a crankbait by Bomber. This is the Bomber Jointed Wake Minnow right here. I pull this out of the package. It is a pretty standard jointed minnow style bait, and this bait was on sale for $6.67. I gotta say, upon first impression, the build quality of this bait feels really solid. It feels really well built, very sturdy, and it is late fall right now, and it's a good time to throw jerk baits and minnow style baits. I'll definitely have to take this thing out in the water and see if I can get a couple bass with it. It looks really cool. I also picked up another plastic from the bargain bin of Tackle Warehouse. This is the Flash Union Craw. It's got a strong formula, shrimp scented. So there you go. This bait is obviously from Japan. It's got Japanese writing all over it. The reason I picked this bait up again is because it was a really interesting design. Something I haven't really seen before, and I was actually kind of eager to try it out. A nice little petite craw can do very well. If I can get this packaging open again. Very potent shrimp smell there, for sure. And there you go. This is the little craw. Now I have to say, this craw looks pretty sweet. It's nice and compact, 3.5 inches. The claws are very beefy. I can see these claws standing up in the water. It's got a very petite design. You can fish this on a shaky head. You can fish it on a tiny little Texas rig. You can even put it on a Ned rig. These baits right here ran me $8.97, which is a lot of money for some soft plastics, but they were in the bargain section, so I guess they're discounted, which is good. As you guys know, winter is approaching very quickly and the water is starting to cool down, and when the water cools down, fish become a little less eager to bite. But hopefully this next lure that I bought will help me get some bites later on in the winter. This is the Cumberland Pro Lures Baby Shad in Pearl Flash. It's a basic little feathered jig right here. They come in a 2-pack, which is awesome. This is basically just a tiny little feathered jig. These baits are great for cold water scenarios, out to just stab myself. And they work really well. Something about feathered jigs and hair jigs, when the water's cold and the fish are not really in a mood to bite, these baits can be the ticket. So I picked up 2 of these just because the weather's getting cold. These baits ran me $3.48 on the Tackle Warehouse sale page, so not a bad deal. The next bait I picked up is a bait by Tight Lines UV. This is their UV Wenco, or something like that. This bait is weird looking. Let's just say that. This is a Senko style bait with silicone skirts coming out the sides of it. So it's kind of like a hybrid between a jig and a plastic worm. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And to be honest, I'm not really looking forward to fishing with it. It seems like a really odd bait. That's all I really have to say about it. It's just a weird looking lure. But maybe it has some good action, I have no idea. This is by far the bait I'm the least impressed with. Supposedly, fish see these baits 7 times better than your average bait because they reflect UV light or something like that. And last but not least, I picked up 2 of the same lures. These baits I am very interested to try out, and these were by far the most expensive baits that I bought. They each ran me $14.47. They are swim baits. Which is no surprise, swim baits usually run a decent amount of money. These are the Grandy Lures Drop Up Swim Baits. So yeah, this is the bait right here. It's got a hard plastic body with a little swim tail on the back, a nice sharp hook in the tip, and then it comes pre-rigged with a piece of fishing line, a bobber stopper, and a bullet weight. Yeah, I don't know. These are weird looking things. The actual build quality seems pretty decent. They have these little tails, and each one comes with an extra tail, so that's nice. They have a little spring which you can twist your tails onto. I got another one in bluegill color. The bluegill color actually looks pretty cool. It looks kind of like a bluegill. I'm just not sure about this whole rigging thing. I'll have to get these in the water and see how they work. Alrighty guys, so those are all the baits that I bought. Some are really cool looking, some of them are a little bit weird. But nevertheless, let's take them out on the water, test out the action, see if we can't catch a fish or 2 on some of these baits. I want to make one thing really clear. The goal of this show is not to catch a fish on every single bait. It is to take these baits out and try them out, and maybe catch 1 or 2 fish on some select baits. With that being said, I am going to take them all out and give them all a shot. So, let's go. Alrighty guys, I've had a bit of time to take these baits out and test them. Now it is time to give my thoughts and opinions on which are the best baits and which baits don't really cut the mustard. Starting off with the baits that I'm not that impressed with, the Tightlines UV Cinco skirt thingamabob. This bait actually has an okay action in the water. I think it's a bit much to have this much stuff hanging off a lure. That's my own personal opinion. I know for a fact that some of the ponds and lakes I fish, this bait would probably scare a lot of the fish that live in these ponds and lakes, just because I fish a lot of water where the fish are very finicky, they're pressured a lot, and throwing something like this probably wouldn't get me a whole lot of bites. That being said, I could see this bait being useful if you were fishing like really dirty water, if you're flipping and pitching to cover and you wanted something with a lot of flash, a big presence in the water that's going to put off some vibration. I could see this bait actually being useful if you were flipping and pitching in high muddy water. And I gotta say, the action of this bait isn't terrible once you get it in the water. The skirt obviously flutters around and it looks like a really big crawfish. If that's what you're going for, I guess this will work for you. But for the conditions of lakes that I fish, I probably won't be using this bait a whole lot. The next bait that didn't really cut the mustard for me is this bait right here. This is by Jackal, and this is a weird lure, especially when you put it in the water. It is borderline creepy to watch this bait go through the water. When this bait goes through the water, it has kind of this centipede action. I hate centipedes. I do not like centipedes. You know, bugs don't generally freak me out, but centipedes are one of the bugs that definitely kind of put me on edge. And seeing this in the water kind of gave me a little bit of the shivers. This looks like a stinking centipede down there. It's a very large profile in the water. It actually moves quite a bit of water. But I think it looks a bit ridiculous myself. I think it's a bit over the top for a fishing lure. But if you're looking for a bait that looks like a stinking centipede and you want a big profile, again, this bait moves a lot of water, I guess try this bait out. I can maybe see myself fishing with this if I was fishing like really deep, clear water and I needed a big profile to try and catch some big fish. Maybe I'd throw this, but I think I'll just stick to a traditional finesse worm. Moving on to this bait right here, this is the weird swim bait with the weight attached. I finally figured out how to fish this thing. It is made to be fished like a drop shot. You have your bait right here, you tie your line here, and your weight's down here. Now this bait actually floats in the water, so if you keep a tight line, this bait will actually suspend in the water column. And I gotta say, the action of this bait isn't too bad. Once you get it in the water and fish it like a drop shot, it's got a nice subtle action. I could see this being very useful if you wanted to fish slow, close to the bottom. This bait really looks like an injured shad or bluegill. The premise of this bait is really interesting and the action is pretty decent. For one, if you cast really hard, your bobber stop and your weight might just totally slip off. I went to make a long cast and my weight just went flying. So I'd recommend if you buy this, put a knot in the end of your line. That way that bobber stop won't be able to slide off. I gotta say, my biggest gripe with this bait is the price. Even though it was on sale, it still ran me about $14, and I can pretty much make this myself if I really wanted to. I could get some foam, attach it to a hook, tie on a swim bait, and put it on a drop shot rig, and I have the exact same lure. Granted, the color schemes on these baits are pretty cool, and I'm sure they're handmade, which does make them more expensive. But with that being said, I could just make my own. So there's that. On to the baits that I absolutely love. The bomber jointed minnow is a great bait. It's got a fantastic action in the water. You can bomb it really far. I'm definitely looking forward to throwing this bait for northern pike, for wipers, for largemouth bass. It is a great bait. Very simple, but very awesome. There we go. Alright, so I stopped off here at the pond, and I was throwing the little crawfish right here. Smoked a nice little fish. Good deal. Another bait that I fell in love with while testing is this bait right here, the Flash Union Craw. This bait has a tremendous action in the water. It's nice and petite. I love the design of the claws. I like rigging this on a really light jig head and fishing it low and slow. This bait is definitely going in my tackle box, and I definitely intend to use it in the near future. It is awesome. Big fish. Very big fish. Cool it, brother. Goodness sakes. I haven't got to look at it yet. I haven't got to look at it. The water just boiled. Gotta be careful. I got 8 contest line on them. I'm busting off. It's a wipe, alright. It's a little better fish right there. He can probably go 5 pounds. Absolute Goliath. And look what it ate. Again, it ate that stupid little jig. You would think you would catch a big fish like this with like a crankbait or a big swim bait, but they're hitting that tiny little hair jig. That is a gorgeous fish. Whew. That is exciting right there, boys and girls. See you, buddy. Whew. That's exciting. And I gotta clean my camera lens off. And last but not least, this little hair jig is probably my favorite bait because it caught me the most fish today. I caught 2 really nice fish out at the lake. Now keep in mind, both those fish were rather large. The one fish was around 3.5 pounds and the other one was over 5 pounds. And they were caught on this tiny little jig right here. That is impressive. When I got these jigs out of the package, I wasn't really impressed. They seem a little scraggly, but once you get them in the water, they have a nice flash and a nice action, and they catch fish. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So guys, there you go. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Bargain Bin Fishing Lures. If you want to see more episodes like this in the future, let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a like. And if you want to support the channel, check out the rest of the links in the description. There's a link to my Signature Series swim baits, as well as some other stuff that I use on a daily basis. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay hooked. I'll see you later.